What's cracking, guys? Omar Isaf here. Got a special video. You know, we've been providing a lot of different types of content, getting into Olympic lifting, but also some general strength, some hypertrophy. But now we're getting a very specific powerlifting video featuring the strongest ginger in the world. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure Bryce Lewis is. At around 213 pounds body weight, he has over 1,700 pound total, drug tested in the IPF. A very smart, very humble individual. I got him to do two very cool things. First off, he created an entirely free Excel spreadsheet. If you ever plan on competing at any meet, attempt selection, what you actually attempt to do in the big three with your 3 attempts is very important. And it's not just some sort of art. There is a science behind it, right? Calculating the weights that you should use. So this is free. It's on his website. He created this just for this video, just for you guys. There are no strings attached. So if you plan on competing in a powerlifting meet ever in your life, and you want to know how you should make your attempts, how to select them, this freebie is for you. Link is in the description. If you download it, make sure to like the video and leave a comment. Anyways, this video today is about exactly that. How to set new PRs. Because once again, there is a method to the madness. You don't just come in trying to YOLO and hit a PR every single day. There are things you need to do. There's a science behind it. So Bryce is going to break this down in this video. So make sure you check out the link in the description. Make sure you check out Bryce. And without further ado, Bryce, take over the video.
Hi, my name is Bryce Lewis. I am a competitive powerlifter and strength coach at thestrengthathlete.com. Doing a video for Omar here today about how to hit PRs, essentially how to perform better when it comes to testing, either in training or in competition, and 6 things you can do toward that. So I've got some notes here. I'm going to do a little bit of reading about that and switch back and forth between some footage. So if you have any questions, by the way, you can always reach me by email at bryce@thestrengthathlete.com or find us at our website at thestrengthathlete.com. Anyways, training is not necessarily just about testing, it's about training. And that may seem obvious, but we know tons of athletes who live for testing. So the 1RM is great, and it's definitely an integral part of competition in powerlifting. But as far as training goes, the case can be made for younger, less experienced lifters to avoid testing altogether and just spend lots of time accumulating volume. As we get more experience, this switches and it becomes more important to treat the 1 rep max as a skill, and that's something that we'll get into a little bit later. That said, testing is still an important piece of the puzzle and allows us to gauge progress, set measurable goals, punctuate training by providing endpoints to blocks or training cycles, provide opportunities for motivation, anticipation, and planning. Like I mentioned before, it isn't everything though, and lifters would be well off to remove the ego from constantly chasing PRs. And make sure to enjoy the process. Celebrate PRs, but celebrate the grind as well. What follows are 6 things you can do to work on that will help you hit PRs outside of progressive adaptation and just accumulating necessary volume to get stronger. Number 1, practice the skill. The 1RM is a skill. You can and probably will get better at performing heavy singles over time because you'll be more familiar with the right mental space to be in, the right peaking structure, warm-up scheme, and most importantly, you'll be able to grind. Lots of newer lifters have a tendency to give up on a lift too early. So they get to a point where the bar speed slows down and they'll stop before they've had a chance to work through that point where you're mechanically the most disadvantaged. So it's definitely a skill that you can build to continue to work through that spot. And one thing I can tell you is to not give up on the lift. So in the case of deadlifts, just keep pulling. In the case of bench, just keep pressing. But essentially go for longer than you're comfortable with, and there is a larger chance, obviously, that you're going to make the lift. So don't give up on the lift and continue to push. Remember that it's a skill, and this is one of the bases of peaking structures in periodization for powerlifting. Increasing the amount of heavy, low rep lifting an athlete does as they close in on competition. So treating the 1 rep max as a skill, something that you can get better and more efficient with over time, is an important detail. Number 2, plan effectively. Generally speaking, lifters with a smaller training age have the option of testing at more frequent intervals for powerlifting, maybe somewhere in the range of 4 to 12 weeks. More experienced athletes need longer for progressive overload and changes to strength before retesting. Any sooner, you're just spinning your wheels, really. Make sure that you aren't just jumping from one templated program to another, instead that you're planning your year in training and fitting training cycles into that year. I encourage this practice even for lifters with no desire to compete in powerlifting. Planning the year ahead allows you to understand what the context of this week and month's training is and how to fit those puzzle pieces into the bigger picture. Number 3, peak effectively. So as far as peaking strategies to improve performance on personal bests and PRs, lots can be said about this, and lots already has. In fact, some great articles already exist on peaking strategies put out by Renaissance Periodization, among many others. But it's important to note that it can make some difference depending on the athlete. We have the potential to increase overall performance, but also decrease performance if we screw things up. I think generally though, you can't go wrong with a gradual reduction in volume over 1 to 4 weeks and a gradual increase in intensity over that same period of time. Oftentimes, a slight intensity taper as well toward the end will help the athlete perform. Also, a relative increase in specificity, performing more of your training lifts as competition squat, bench, and deadlift, as opposed to other variations or various less specific assistance work, will help in most cases. Less experienced lifters need shorter peaking phases because they can recover quicker, make gains at faster rates, and have accumulated less overall volume. But generally, as far as peaking goes, the idea is to taper off volume so that you can feel fresh and increase the intensity so we increase efficiency and adaptations to heavy lifting. Like I mentioned before, how long that period of time is really different when it comes to different lifters, but generally I'd rather a longer, more aggressive taper than a shorter taper and having still some fatigue in the athlete's system. I'd rather an athlete essentially be too fresh than not fresh enough. Number 4, go small or go home. Essentially, I'd like athletes to aim for smaller PRs of 5 to 15 pounds and make them instead of take larger jumps and miss them. This also leaves the chance for consistency in progress and the ability to gradually, consistently make PRs instead of making big jumps and digging such a big recovery hole that training is significantly hampered. On the other hand, if you've got something comfortable as far as a lift above 15 pounds that you feel confident you're going to get, go for it. But again, I'd rather have athletes hitting small, measurable, but consistent progress and making PRs than large jumps and missing. Number 5, get your head right. Best lifters are able to reach into heightened state of arousal that's still manageable. They don't look like athletes who are totally overstimulated. Similarly, they aren't too passive. There's a sweet spot that allows athletes to maximally perform, and it differs for many athletes. Find a way to bring yourself into that perfect state of performance through a combination of self-talk, music, belief that you can achieve great things, and focus. Finally, create a ritual. A process in doing the same thing over and over again will decrease the amount of technical errors and increase efficiency in hitting big lifts. Walking the same number of steps out for every squat you do, or the same mental cues or weird claps or whatever you need to lift effectively. Make sure you're doing the same thing every time.
That's it. That's the video. If you are interested in strength and getting stronger, in particular for powerlifting, then you have to become good at 1 rep maxes. This video covered that exactly. Very technical, very in-depth. If you plan on competing, make sure you download that freebie and like the damn video. Finally, check out Bryce, his YouTube channel. Link will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check back tomorrow for fresh content. I'll be seeing all you guys, my rascals, in that next video. Peace!